Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name, if you don't know, LolaAjisafe, and today we're going to be reviewing another episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Now we know we're in season 3. This is episode 5. Title Tacos with Beef. That's probably something to do later on down the episode. But before we start, as usual, housekeeping rules. What do we say? Like the video, drop a line. I love hearing people's opinions and their comments and what you think about what I said, what you have to say about what I'm saying. And of course, subscribe. So we're going to jump right into it. So we continue with, we kind of ended where Kimmi had been waiting for Kyle and her husband, who we know is Xavier. And right at that point, Maurice decided that, he had an appointment he couldn't push or didn't want to stay. I'm not, we never really know what happened, but at this point, he just decided he was going to leave, and he was leaving, Kimmi to deal with the aftermath. And once again, Kimmi comes through. She proving that she's a team player. She takes a couple bites, packs up her lunch, but she could have left, but she didn't. She stayed and she waited. And we don't know how much time transpired between the time Maurice left and when Kyle and her husband came by. But it could have been long, could have been short. But anyway, Kimmi stayed. Like I said, I really like this woman. She's a strong woman, and that's not a compliment. But of course, I can respect her because, to be strong, she's had a journey. She's been through some things. And so that just displays she keeps her composure. So anyway, Kyle and Xavier, who's Kyle's husband, they come through. Of course, Kimmi updates her on the whole Tiffany fiasco. Apparently, of course, Kyle knew about the vaping thing, but she's updating her the look. It's out there. So before you hear about it or read about it, it's, sis, it's out there. I figure that's what they're doing. So she's updating her on camera so everyone's aware that this was meant to be a personal family matter, but it's out there. Three of them kind of sit down and it may not be easy because we know these women have had like a rocky start, a rocky background, a rocky history. But I think for the sake of being grown up and for the sake of, Maurice Jr., who they call Monster, they want to get together and be of, same page, same accord. Like, look, this is what's going on. I like that. And it really, something Kyra said, there's like, what I want to do is when I speak with, Maurice Jr., I noticed she calls him, I actually noticed that she calls him Maurice Jr. She doesn't call him Monster. When I speak with him, I want to know that he's being consistent. And that's the thing children need. Children need consistency. So the adults in their lives have to form a wall. You all have to say the same thing or else. Kids are extremely intelligent and they're very good at trying to manipulate the situation to make it work for them. So if there's a weakness in ranks, if you break the stand, you break the wall, they can come through and start playing you all against each other. So I'm happy that the adults understand that, like, put our stuff to the side. It ain't that important. Let's be a united front so we can get this boy ready to be the young man that we all want to see him be. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I think that's, and I think that's why they're showing that to us. Is like, it's not easy, but it needs to be done. We need to get more of our men, our young boys, into men that really have been held accountable, and that the village, it's the village that raises the child, and the whole village is acknowledging their responsibility towards him or towards them. We need to do more. And I feel for me anyway, that was my take home point, that seeing that, it's like, look, we keep talking about our men this, our men that, the boys are this, they're not doing this, like, but it starts, when they're little, like right now, he's not little, he's a teenager, but still, it's like us all forming a bond, saying that, look, we're accountable to this young man and we're going to hold him, accountable to what we expect of him. Taking a page from, Kyra's book, I might just, stick with Maurice Jr. I had someone in the comments who dropped in my comments last week, and I love what she said, talking about she wished they wouldn't call him Monster and literally just call him Maurice Jr. or MJ something. But because as a Nigerian, all our names mean something. All our names mean something. And so there is the belief, and it is true, you live up to the name you're called by. And so it's like them calling him Monster, it is not such a great thing. So the next scene we have, quick scene between, Destiny and Tisha. I guess they're now, working on their budding friendship. And they're in a car dealership, something about Hot Girl Summer. I guess this was the scene where, Destiny reveals to Tisha, because Tisha wasn't at the luncheon, that she's fully divorced. Like I said, like how she fully divorced when to us, she just got married. We're going to need some more information. Inquiring minds want to know. We want to know, like, for real. And I feel like producers are going to be on your Destiny until more information comes back. Is it our business? In real life, it's none of our business. Now on the show, it's our business. because it's called Love and Marriage Huntsville. So here's to us, you having the power to release the information you desire, as opposed to it being released without your input, without your stamp, without your. We would like you to release that information using your narrative and not somebody else's. Because the truth is, you're on a reality show, it needs to come out. Like, you're divorced already. I want to see how this is going to happen, where you go about telling everybody you're divorced, but nobody even knew you as a married couple properly, talk less of what transpired before the divorce. So that's my advice is to you, you know, disclose that information on your terms instead of somebody else coming right behind you, disclose it. That's how I see it, because just somebody always want to talk, something is going to give. But if you put it out there, there's nothing else to put out there, because we literally, oh, that's what happened. Oh, okay. That's all. That's all. All right. So yeah. So anyway, you know, they do, you know, Tisha brings up the carrot thing again. Once again, sis is, you know, living in that uncomfortable space. I think what's going on with her too is, there is that fear. The reality TV show curse. I don't know if she's thinking about that, but you know, she's now considering that, oh, there's another divorce in this group. Of course she's, I guarantee you she's worried. Put the rumors aside, or maybe put the rumors into it, makes it worse. She's definitely worried. You've got the reality TV stuff. You've got the marriages falling apart around her. Tisha's scared. So we have the meeting, next scene, leading into, continuing on, you know, Tisha's fear of the demise of her marriage, or, you know, breakdown of her marriage. She's trying to, you know, get some working, get something prevented so they don't fall too far away from the dream she has. Okay, that's smart, but I don't know if it was smart of her to throw an impromptu visit on Dr. Francis. You know, Dr. Francis. I miss my dude, Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis, welcome back. We like you know, your common sense approach, your no prisoners take approach to just, you know, counseling these men. So Tisha said her approach was to ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission, because I guess in the past, Marsau has not expressed any interest in counseling. He thinks everything's perfect now. Sir, everything's not perfect. So I kind of see where she's coming from, but I also would not want to be blindsided. So if I put myself in Marsau's position, I would not want to be blindsided by a surprise meeting with a counselor. Even if I was for it, I don't know. So they get talking, and so Dr. Francis tells or asks Tisha to give, you know, tell Marsau why he's here. Tell us what you want him to hear that you feel he's not hearing from you. And so Tisha goes into this spiel, but all I'm hearing her say is, you know, how she's got her plate is full, you know, she's really been busy, she just finished her second master's degree, and this, I'm not hearing anything that involves Marsau, honestly. I just heard her, you know, just complaining about how things have been stressful for her, and but nothing directly saying, Marsau, this is what's going on, and I need you to do. I didn't hear that. I think Marsau and I heard the same thing, because he's like, she sounds like she's stressed out. And I guess Marsau, I mean, he kind of went into a few things where, I don't know if I remember, if I wasn't listening, you know, he's talking, and it sounds like he's brought this up a couple of times, that he feels like Tisha has been spending a lot, so he has to work more to make more money, but she wants him to spend more time at home, but wants to continue spending money at the rate she's spending money. And this, I think this moment here was, he's implying and inferring that Tisha spends a lot of money, more money than he's comfortable with. So he feels, these are his words, his opinion, his impression, he feels that he needs, or his excuse, he needs to work more because she's spending more instead of her not spending at all. And then, you know, Tisha's comeback or response to that statement is, well, you spend more money too. And that. Yeah. If I can tell you, I hate that. And let me tell you what I hate. When someone says you do this, that means I'm presenting a complaint to you. You adjust the complaint I'm giving you as opposed to throwing it back at me. Well, you do this too. We could do this all day and still get to nowhere. I tell you from personal experience, we can go around this, we can go around in circles for weeks, for days, for years. Adjust what I said. And Dr. Francis very swiftly came in and said, look, Tisha, he's saying that, he put his little color into it, that's why I love Dr. Francis, but missing you, sir, that no, Tisha, he's saying that you're up in the boutiques, blowing like cash, you know, blowing some stacks and da. What's your response to that? Boom. Address that point before you start talking about, because if you say you did well, you did this, well, you did this, we're not going to get anywhere. Dr. Francis, you're a badass. I don't remember what Tisha's response was, but clearly, instead of answering the question, she had been skirting around the issue. And I think that is a common problem in couples. At least people who may not feel comfortable with each other, safe with each other, safe enough to be vulnerable and honest. Because I feel like that's such an easy, lazy way to respond to a complaint on accusation, to simply throw the accusation back at the other person. That means you're not trying to resolve anything, you're just trying to be right. But the thing is, Tisha, you brought, both of y'all, you brought yourselves to Dr. Francis. You instigated this. So I'm thinking you want resolution. So if you want resolution, then you should be, facing the issues and the complaints head on instead of batting the ball over the net. I'm stressing on this because from personal experience, I see this all the time. And it's like, just address the issue. Oh, yes, I did. No, I didn't. Well, this is why I did. This is why I didn't. As opposed to, because when you do that, you're not trying to answer the question. You're just trying to keep playing. And Tisha, if you want to keep playing, why did you bring yourselves to Dr. Francis? If you're just there at Dr. Francis to be right, you're not going to solve the issues or concerns you might be having with Marsau. It's not going to work. I'm just saying, a little maturity needs to kick in, and maybe this counseling will help you see yourself better and see where you need to bring yourself up. Because sometimes, a lot of times, and there's this thing, when they give you counseling, even like they always say, you can fix you, but you can't fix the other person. What do you need to do in yourself? What do you need to fix that's going to help the relationship? Don't be concerned about what the other person needs to do, because you have no control over the other person. You only have control over you. So the truth is, you have to focus on what you can do. And if both parties are thinking like that, you can make a sweet union. Theoretically, I know this. So, Dr. Francis goes on to discuss, talk about, them creating a safe space. And you hear this commonly, you hear this all the time when people talk about relationships, a safe space where both parties or either person can feel vulnerable enough to be honest and to let out, okay, this is what's going on with me, this is how I feel. And then, goes into, and he looks at Maurice. Oh, sorry, he looks up Marsau. I don't know if he knows him personally, he's been watching him on the show, or just based on that, Dr. Francis is a G, he's a badass. So Dr. Francis looks at him and says, I'm looking at, he's looking at Marsau and he's like, yo, look, this guy can talk himself out of a rock quarry. I feel like he just simply means he can talk himself out of a dark hole or a deep hole. Like, he knows that Marsau has the gift of gab. And Marsau is not confrontational like Martel. So you can play with him. So the energy that was in the room when Martel was being cancelled by Dr. Francis is completely different. Marsau, he's smooth. And Jalen's word, he's slick. But no, I don't like slick. Slick is a little too slicky. Slick. He's just smooth. He's smooth. He's just watching y'all. He's smart. He's quick. And he has good energy. So even when he's being an asshole or being wrong, if it's not directly affecting you, you can only smile and appreciate his humor and his wit instead of being mad at him. Whereas when, Martel was in that position, we were a little irritated, like, gee, like, you're this, you're that. But Marsau, you kind of enjoy it because you're not on the receiving end. Maybe if you're on the receiving end, you might feel frustrated. But when you're watching him, you're like, yeah, this guy has got the gift of gab. And he's fun. He's a fun guy. So it's something to be appreciated. So yeah, and Dr. Francis called him right out. And then, of course, so now he now directed Tisha. He's like, Tisha, I need you to say exactly what you want. And clearly, you know what I think, I don't know, I'm not Tisha, but I feel Tisha had spent a lot of energy in trying to orchestrate them, sneaking him to Dr. Francis without really thinking about what her real issues were. Because all I've heard in the extent, or maybe due to editing, finally when she's asked to say, what are your issues? She comes up with wanting more time and they should have a date night. I'm sure she has more things. I don't know if it was the cameras or she wasn't ready, or they didn't want to televise it. There's more to it than, oh, well, we need a date night. And so, Marsau gets his phone. Yeah, Siri, remind me about Thursday night, date night, 8 o'clock. Yeah. Dr. Francis called me out again. He's like, look, if something important to you. He's like, yo, Dr. Francis says, something's important to me. I'm not waiting for Siri to remind me. So it's like, are you making, Is this a date versus an appointment? Are you committed to this, or is this just some kind of appointment you just have to keep? I'm just saying, Dr. Francis just calls it, and it is real plain. It's a different style from Dr. Nicole from Put a Ring on It, but I like them equally because there's different types of energy needed, different receptive towards their energy. Like, you know, Dr. Francis is like hit the nail on the head, a straight shooter. Dr. Nicole is more comforting. She's a straight shooter too, but she's more comforting and almost like has a way of having you realize what you're doing wrong. I kind of like their styles. Gonna have to dial one of them up and maybe, you know, holler at them like, yo, can I have a session with Joe? Because I really like them. I like the way they work. And you can imagine they're working on camera. It's probably, you know, 10 times as great without, you know, other people there, because they can be more comfortable, more intuitive, and really focus on their client. I like these two people. So I feel it's like, because sometimes people say when you're looking for a counselor, and I say that too, when you're looking for a therapist, someone you want to talk to, how do you know where you found it? And I think when I see this, I know I have a better idea, a clearer idea of what I'd like when I meet someone. I definitely want someone who has shared values with me. They know my experience. I mean, it doesn't mean that, you know, I couldn't have a counselor who was white, come to think of it. It doesn't mean that, because I have been counseled by someone who was white, and I really felt like she understood where I was coming from. I didn't have to explain, because when you are talking in a therapist chair, you don't want to have to explain every scenario or the nuances of everything. And she got it. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be the same color me, but we have to have an understanding. There has to be an agreement, like something in common, a thread where I don't have to explain things. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean the person has to share the same ethnicity as you, but it has to be an understanding. That's the only way I can explain it. But at this point, I think most of us know that we require therapy. And of course, they end the scene with Dr. Francis. That's what I'm saying, you know, Marsau, he's just funny and he's fun. He's the villain you love to love. He's a villain, but you love him. Or is he a villain? He's maybe us. Because we just like that. Marsau is in us. We are Marsau. Like, we can be a little slick sometimes and do all these things, but essentially, are we bad people? No, we're not. We don't make the right choices. We don't make the right decisions. We may not even say the right thing. We might be out for self sometimes, but at the end of the day, we're human, so we can't be perfect. So anyway, Marsau cracks a joke. He's like, yeah, we should do this again. Yeah, like maybe 15, 20 years from now. Like, because I'm cured, I'm good, we don't need to come back. I thought that was funny. And even Dr. Francis, who always keeps a straight face, he had chuckled a little bit and enjoyed, you know, Marsau's humor. And I think emphasizes why we still like Marsau. It's funny. He probably felt blindsided, was still taken aback, but didn't come out swinging. Comfortable enough in himself to take it in his stride. So next thing we have, you know, Maurice, Kaiwa, Maurice Jr. still in town. So they finally meet up, the three of them, to just kind of talk. And so they kind of, you know, I feel Maurice feels a responsibility, because he feels like his son has been outed, to actually harp on the topic about the plight of young black men, you know, what they face. Like, the opportunities and the chances for a second chance are a lot less than other races. See, you know, our black men get killed first before they even get a chance to mature and grow into who they're meant to be, or who they were meant, you know, who they should be going to on their path. And I get that. I mean, you can definitely tell that he's really bothered and frustrated by this, because understandably so, he doesn't want his son to be labeled. And we do get labeled. Our boys do get labeled. I do remember there was a time when my son, a class, he'd gotten like it was like a national exam, he got an extremely high score. And instead of the teacher to ask, when we went for the meeting together, instead of the teacher to ask, you know, so what did you do differently? Because this was a really high, she almost, you know, feigned surprise. She had said something about, he didn't cheat because she was there, but almost like she felt like it was a mistake. And the way she said, you know, it was just in such a way. What I do remember, I don't remember the words she said, but I remember the impressions. Like, instead of her to be positive, she was very negative about it. Like, you know, not proud of him. Like, okay, this is what we need to do for you to get more of this. She was more like, so how did he do it? Was this a lucky guess, or was this a lucky chance that he got like this, you know, this 99, 100 kind of grade over this national exam? And my son is a very sensitive, intuitive person. When we got out of that meeting, he was in tears. And so I had to talk with him like, don't let someone else dictate to you who you are. You know who you are. Continue to prove who you are. But it's just like that. How does it teach you? I mean, that was towards the end of it, but it's like it was something to emphasize, and it's the truth. So I get where Maurice is going. It's like, it feels like an attack somewhat. It's like we don't get the chances, we don't get the opportunities, we don't get the respect, we don't get the encouragement. And so it's like, but yet we end up tearing ourselves down. So all this conversation is like, yeah, you know, Maurice Jr. made a mistake, but why is, you know, an older lady who is of the same ethnicity as Maurice now using this as fodder to make herself interesting or have a storyline? You know, it's been 2 episodes since that happened, but it still is like, you know, the ricochet, the after effects, the afterverb is still kind of still echoing true, because we do forget protecting each other because we end up trying to do something for ourselves. So yeah, we have a system that is not friendly towards us, doesn't encourage our success, but sometimes we end up, you know, holding ourselves down. We end up doing it to each other. And I feel like, you know, Maurice feels that burden to, let me rewrite the narrative. Let me change the narrative around my son, because this is not acceptable. Yes, he made a mistake, but he's more than that mistake. He's not his mistake. He's a kid who you made a poor decision. I get it. And so they finished that little segment, and they go on and they talk about, you know, like he realized that, look, it'll sound like, look, Maurice Jr. is not interested and excited about going back to Michigan because, you know, and it lets out that he has a girl that he's interested in too. They kind of talk about birds and the bees, you know, conversations we should be having with our children. It was fun. And, you know, of course, you know, Maurice Jr. was kind of a little shy. But what I like that he said towards the end was like when they were talking about, you know, sex, and he's like, I'm not going to have sex till I'm 24. Oh, and then Maurice, it's like, oh, that means that's going to be after college. And then Maurice Jr. goes on to say, in marriage, in a healthy marriage. That's all we want to see in our children. We want to see that our children don't make the mistakes that we made, and that they're learning. Sometimes we don't know that they're learning things until they say certain things. And I feel like listening to that, you know, both the parents will be relieved that he's listening, he hears us. Does that mean he will end up doing exactly the way he said it? No. But the fact that that's a desire for him, as a parent, I felt proud. I felt like, yeah, that's what we want to hear, because it just makes it much easier. Is that it's not possible to want to desire that. So we go into next scene with Tiffany and, you know, Tiffany, Miss T, with her husband, who we now know is Louis or Louis. I think it's Louis is how it's pronounced. And so, you know, she goes she's getting ready for this girls, you know, lunch or dinner thing or event they're having. And she kind of, you know, runs by him what kind of happened. And what made it, you know, what made him endearing to me was when he said it. Not rudely, not accusingly, not with a sharp tone, but he's like, you know, I don't know if he said sweetie, but I'm just going to, you know, summarize, like, sweetie. And he was making reference to the comments she made about, you know, her meeting Destiny's husband with somebody else, and then, you know, the next day saying, I like what you wear, what you wore, and only to find out it actually wasn't Destiny was with him the night before, it was somebody else. And her bringing it out, you know, a second time in a completely different environment. And of course, Louis like, sweetie, do you think that was the right time to bring it up? Thank you. That's all I'm saying. It just wasn't. It's like, he loves this woman. He realizes some of her faults, and maybe she's a little too chatty. So in her confession, she's talking about how she's blunt and transparent. But you don't have to make people follow the rules that you follow. You don't have to make people live life the way you live your life. What you might call blunt and transparent might just be borderline rude. And are you blunt and transparent with your own tea, with your own information? And if you are, good for you, but that doesn't mean you need to out other people. It's not your responsibility to out other people and be blunt and transparent with other people's information. By all means, be blunt and transparent with your information all day, all night. But I still haven't heard much about you. Still haven't. It might be coming. So if you're one of those blunt and transparent people, you don't have to insist that people live life according to your rules. That's being, you know, I might say little, I'm being conservative. You're being a little self-centered and a little short-sighted and a little immature, to say the least. If you want people to live life on your terms, how you live your life, it doesn't work like that. This world is different because we're all different people, and we can't expect people to do things the way we would do them. You can do what you can do and see where they will meet you in the middle, but don't drag them kicking and screaming to your point, because it's lost. Makes you insincere, inauthentic, and just really kind of fake, to be honest. If you're going to insist that people around you be blunt and transparent, we are not all the same, we're all different. We can't be like you. That's why this world is different, and that's the beauty of this world, because we're all different. We all have a different purpose and a different mission. Your mission might be to be blunt and transparent, but you're going to have to humble yourself and not think that blunt and transparent is the superior way of being. Some people are not like that, and they're not going to be like that. So you can't make it that way. But I guess I digress again. All right, so I'm going to come off the blunt transparent box. But seeing that and just seeing their little interaction was a little cute interaction. Makes me warm a little to her. Because, her husband, I saw her hear her husband when he said, maybe that wasn't the right time, sweetie. I saw it looked like she heard him. And then they were playing, and just so the eyes that I've had over Tiffany cracked a little bit. Like, okay, she's human. I'm seeing another side. Okay, cool. I'm not. Yeah. Let's wait and see. Maybe she's not trying to be Kenya more. Let's see. Because she came off the bat like acting like, yo, Kenya more, da-da-da-da-da. I'm going to follow that formula. But maybe that's not what she's trying to do. I don't know. Let's see how this goes. So going into final scene, girls' night. It's taco night, which is the title of the episode. The girls meet up. Tisha's there early. It looks like, she and, well, of course, Melody said she invited her so they can continue to work on building the relationship. Of course, Tisha mentions to her how, Destiny felt about Tiffany. And immediately, Melody's a little upset about this little sidebar she's feeling. And she's in her emotions feeling like, yo, if she could have discussed anything with Tisha, why didn't she just come straight to her? And I'm like, Melody, I get what you're saying, that you feel like you guys are closer than that, but maybe you should have reached out to her, because I maybe reached out to both people at Tiffany. I know Tiffany, particularly because supposedly Tiffany's your friend and you brought Tiffany into the group. I feel like in real life, if you had the situation where you had a friend brought a friend into the group and she offended two people in your group, you would sidebar them privately like, oh, I apologize for my friend, da-da-da, and try and straighten out. You wouldn't wait for them to approach you. That would be the normal approach. But her not reaching out to them makes me feel that maybe that was, what they do in reality shows where they use someone as a means to introduce a new character. So maybe she and Tiffany really aren't that close. Because I feel like in real life, if that happened like that, you would reach out on behalf of that friend that you brought into the group and try and, soothe the rough, choppy waters. Who's to say? But anyway, we kind of stop here. Destiny's in there. They're starting the conversation. And so it looks... and another thing. Melody... I guess maybe she's just trying to do great TV. Melody putting Destiny on the spot. Like, yeah, let's talk about what you're mad about. You guys particularly have your own relationship and in the past have appeared to be quite close. Why would you accost her, in public? That should be more of a sidebar conversation. Like, yo, sis, I heard you're mad at me. What's up? But you having it at the table with everyone present was probably not the worst way to deal with it. So I don't know what's going on here. Some things are not making sense. When it doesn't make sense, that means I don't have all the information. It's not making sense because you guys are close or appear to be close. Now you're not as close because you didn't know about the divorce. I don't know. All things are just kind of mixing up, but it's that kind of thing. You hear something like that, you call your sister, your good sister, to the side. Maybe before she got the taco table, maybe you're thinking as a producer of the show, you want this on camera, and you could have it on camera, but maybe you could have pulled it to the side. But maybe you thought there'd be more sparks if you did it at the table. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing. But that's the end of the episode. It's going to continue. We're going to see how this conversation goes further. But everyone's they've got their guard up. And I'm hoping they don't have another, fight or argument over some good food. It doesn't make sense. Can we all get along? Tiffany, say you're sorry. Stop being defensive. And then girls, but then I guess they say, then what would this show be about if they could make up? I don't know, but this tension is like, it's like here. But next week, it's looking good. Yeah. This, the vape gate might go through to half the season at this point. It comes up next week. And when she gets, Tiffany gets her feet put to the fire. Rightfully so. So hopefully once we burn her feet, or her feet get hot, maybe I don't want to burn her. Once her feet get hot, we can put it to bed and keep on with the season. So yeah, that conversation is coming. Maurice, Tiffany, and Kimmi, stay tuned, is coming. Miss Wonder gonna be back next week. Miss Wonder, with a little swoop. I'm looking forward to this. It's looking good. So guys, you know, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Lola, over and out.